So we're going to start off by preheating the oven to 425 degrees Fahrenheit. We're going to unfold the pie crust and we'll press out that crust into basically kind of into triangles. We're going to have to do a little bit of cutting of it, and we're going to place those halves on our greased cookie sheet here. So we lined it with our non-stick foil, but we also hit it up with a little bit of canola oil just to make sure that these turnovers aren't sticking to the pan. Next, we're going to go ahead and just top one side of each crust half with half of the roast beef folding to fit. Then we're going to top each of those with the steak sauce and cheese. Then we're going to fold the dough over the filling. So again, each of those halves that we cut up and are putting on this sheet, we're going to fill it with the roast beef and the Muenster cheese, a little bit of the steak sauce, and then we're going to fold it up to seal it up. So that's basically our filling. It's a really easy filling. These are not that difficult of directions. And then we're going to cut several slits in the top for each. That way they kind of steam, because if we don't let the steam escape, it is going to get a little bit, overly moist, I believe, and it might not cook properly all the way through. And once those are baking, they're going to be baking for 13 to 18 minutes. Just kind of keep an eye on them. Make sure the crust gets a deep golden brown. And while those are baking, we're going to work on our gravy. And that's just going to be combining the gravy and mushrooms and really cooking that over a medium heat until thoroughly heated. And then we're just going to serve that sauce over the turnovers. And this makes about 2 servings. I suspect the proportions that we're going to be using is going to be a little bit closer to probably about 3 to maybe 4. And these turnovers are going to be pretty big, guys. I mean, they're going to be half a dinner plate. So you can imagine, this space is going to fill up really quickly on our baking sheet here. So let's get started. All right, guys, with our pie crust, in this case, this is crescent crust, but it still works. We're going to go ahead and we're actually going to start our laying of the roast beef. And we're going to kind of split it into 2 halves here. So you can either cut these into even smaller ones and kind of get 4 out of it, but I want to try and stay as true to the recipe as possible. And we're just going to do 2 large halves here. I think we'll have a little bit of leftover meat, but that's alright, because that'll make for some good sandwiches. And possibly some other meals, too. You never know. Alright. So now we're going to go ahead and take our Muenster cheese, and we're just going to kind of layer it in here. I'm thinking we'd probably do about 3.5, maybe 4 slices for each one. Let's see where this gets us first. I think then we'll do one more. And what we're going to do for this one is we'll probably just split it in half. We're just going to lay it down the middle just like that. There we go. So a full one, then another full one split in half. And then we'll take one last full one, split it between both halves. Okay, and lastly, we're going to go ahead and top off the insides of these with 2 tablespoons of the A1 steak sauce. Now it's okay if you want to do a little bit more than the 2 tablespoons. That is perfectly fine. Absolutely fine. But this is where we're going to get a ton of flavor from. Just kind of work your way around. Again, we're just doing this in a square pattern because we're using the crescent dough sheets instead of the pie crust ones. But I think it's still going to give us the same end result here. I'll go back to the first one, do a little extra. Again, this is going to be a nice burst of flavor here, guys. Can't go wrong with a little steak sauce. And finally, we're going to go ahead and fold over the other half of this dough. We're just going to stretch it over the top, make sure we really connect these edges here. We want to seal these guys up, and then we'll go ahead and vent the tops to let the steam out using a fork. So let's start the folding here. Just kind of nice and easy. You go up and over, and just kind of press these down here, guys. Press them down good. Again, we're really wanting to just seal up the inside because we don't want our cheese, as nicely melted as it will be, spilling out all over the place along with our other stuff. And now we're going to go ahead and just add a little bit of texture around the edge. We're just going to kind of press into it with like a fork like this. And now we're going to go ahead and just vent the tops, and this is really just kind of a matter of kind of rocking the fork back and forth. I would say just kind of do 2 sets of holes for each one. Just kind of something like that there. Again, I'm not looking for perfection here, but I just want to make sure that I got room to steam, to breathe. So now we're going to go ahead and put these guys in the oven. I'm thinking we start off with probably just a base time of 15 minutes. I know the range is 13 to 18 minutes, but I think given the size of these and really how much we packed into these, we're going to go ahead and just go straight for the 15. Go for gold here. All right. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and get the sauce started now. And it's all going to start with draining our mushrooms. Now, again, this is the store-bought one. You can get the Green Giant branded one or whatever brand you like. The results are going to be pretty much the same. And it's okay if it's the stems and pieces. Again, it's still going to work out just fine. And we went ahead and we drained this can pretty well. You want to make sure you do that before you dump everything in here. So let's go ahead and get our mushrooms going here a while. There we go. Now this can's a little bit larger than the recipe calls for, but since our turnovers are a little bit larger than the recipe intended, that's alright. That is absolutely alright. And now we're going to add in our half cup of beef gravy. But again, since we're going a little bit larger than the recipe calls for, I think I'm going to do a full cup of this. And it should turn out a-okay. So let's go ahead and get this going here. Alright, so with all of our ingredients in, which is really just, again, the beef gravy and our mushrooms, just kind of go ahead, you want to keep stirring this here. And it's going to really get a nice coating on those mushrooms. And the gravy may start out a little bit thick, that's fine, because as it heats up, it will get a little bit thinner. Alright guys, check this out. So you can see our beef gravy is really getting a bit thinner now than it was before. So that's really good. That's going to make for a nice topping on top of our turnovers, which should be done very soon. And there we go, guys. Check that out. There is our turnover. You can see it got a lovely golden brown there on that crust. You can see our steam holes did a wonderful job at keeping this under control. And yeah, I'd say this is an absolute success. We'll go ahead and do some B-roll footage after this shot here just to show you what the inside looks like. But if the other turnover is anything to go off of, that cheese melted wonderfully. We'll also go ahead and top it off with a bit of the mushroom gravy on top and wrap it up from there. So as always guys, I'll leave the directions and the ingredients on how to make these 30-minute turnovers down in the description of this video. This is Major Mason signing off. Peace.